Welcome back to the Piping Pastor. Today I'm smoking some Fusiliers Ration in my Boswell. I am thought a lot about this video, about whether or not to record something. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to get it out there because this response is going to come from someone at some point, especially within the Christian community. I thought it's kind of a weighty topic, so let's pick a weighty tobacco. And I'm also wearing my University of Edinburgh cufflinks. I'll get a little close up here because these are great. It's the university logo embossed on there, and these are made from bourbon barrels or whiskey barrels. Pardon me, not bourbon barrels. Made from whiskey barrels, and the logo is burned on there. It's surrounded by hematite. They were a gift on when I graduated, when I received my PhD, from a friend. Oddly enough, I'm wearing the University of Edinburgh bow tie as well, and I did not coordinate that ahead of time, thinking, "Oh, I'll wear my Edinburgh stuff today." Just this happened when I was thinking about my purple and brown combination. But I'm not wearing a sport coat just now because it's really rather warm, considering the cold snap we've had here in Maryland. And I shouldn't say warm. It's coolish, but not cold. Well, as you've seen from the topic of the video, this is a response to Cornell and Diehl's new blend, The Beast. Now, this is not a review of the tobacco. So if you're hoping for a review of The Beast, you may want to skip along and watch into the video. I don't make a habit of chasing small batch tobaccos. The reason being, A, there's just too many to try. I simply don't have the time to be smoking 2 or 3 different tobaccos, a day, or several different tobaccos a week to try to sample all these new small batches that come out. But the other reason is I don't necessarily want to try a limited edition small batch tobacco that I love and then can't get anymore. I mean, it does take you maybe a minute or two to search through YouTube and find the huge amount of pipe smokers out there who lament the loss of McClellan. All you need to do is Google Frogmorton cellar or Frogmorton on the town, and you can see half a dozen people there just really upset that they can't get that tobacco any longer. Or if they can find it, they have to purchase it at auction at like $100 an ounce. So for that reason, I don't chase the small batches. Now, the other reason I probably will not try the Beast, I'm not a real big fan of Perique. I appreciate it as a seasoning, right? Little hints there and there, but I find it to be a bit too much when it's overpowering in a blend. I like vapors if it's blended well, but that's about as far as I'll go. And from understanding the way it was described in the video that Cornell and Diehl put out, it seems like a really heavy hit of Perique. I want to be trying it. Well, I'll be reviewing it here. So what am I talking about? Well, I'm speaking specifically here about the name of the tobacco and who it is named for. Aleister Crowley. Now, for those of us in the Christian community who have had a wee bit of study, especially in the United Kingdom or in historical work or any kind of pluralistic work with those of other religious faith traditions and the occult and so on and so forth, Aleister Crowley is a fairly common name. We all know who Aleister Crowley was. For many people, they may only know him from Ozzy Osbourne song lyric, right? But the Beast was, of course, Aleister Crowley's nickname. And if you want a fun bit of history, look up who gave him that nickname. But choosing to name a tobacco after such a person, I think, is going to cause some consternation. To say that Aleister Crowley was a polemic figure is a vast understatement, especially for those members of the Christian community. Now, it is not my intent to sit in judgment on any person's religio-philosophic beliefs. I am very open about the fact that I myself am I'm an evangelical minister. I'm a pastor. I'm a theological researcher, and that's my worldview. In my research, I've studied various different traditions in China, specifically Taoism and Neo-Confucianism and so forth. So I'm not going to sit here and try to say that Aleister Crowley is an evil figure and should be shunned, and all connections to him should be removed. But there are many who will. There are many within, especially the evangelical community, of which I'm a member, who will look at a figure like Aleister Crowley and look at his history, at the hedonism that he engaged in. And again, I'm not trying to say hedonism in a derogatory sense, because hedonism is a brand of personal philosophy that some people do indeed follow. But hedonism, at its core, is largely abhorrent to people of the Christian community, to many in the Christian community. The engagement with the spiritual realm and the way that Aleister Crowley did it is rather likened to witchcraft, the summoning of spirits and so forth. And obviously, that is a big no-no in Christianity. And it's not meant to be a dissertation on Aleister Crowley's traditions, the religion that he was purported to be a prophet of, Thelema, I can't remember the name of it, something along those lines. But the question will come up: for my fellow Christian pipe smokers, well, if Cornell and Diehl is going to glorify such a man as Aleister Crowley, can I still smoke their tobacco? I'm sure that they probably did not have a board discussion before they named this tobacco about the possible implications for their client base. They probably simply thought, oh, I know Aleister Crowley was a pipe smoker. He smoked St. James per week soaked in rum. We need a small batch. Hey, let's try that. He's a famous person in history. He's very, very popular in the occultist movement. Why not? But you will have people who will walk away from Cornell and Diehl simply because of this, which is unfortunate. And I am not advocating for that at all. The intent of this is to A, put a response out there, because I know there will be one, where you will have Christian pipe smokers who will say something like this. And so I wanted to hopefully begin an informed discussion about what this means, because words are important, names are important. and any kind of conversation in the public square about historical figures who have such a controversial past, you know, it's important to have informed discussions of those, right? We shouldn't just, you know, just write off, you know, all of Cornell and Diehl because they came up with this one tobacco, right? You know, we should have an intelligent, informed, calm, and reasoned discussion if we are offended by the fact that they have named this tobacco after an occultist leader. Because in fact, that's what they've done. In the same way, if they had named a tobacco, you know, Billy Graham, Billy Graham Virginia blend, right? There'll be members of the atheist community and so on and so forth who would find, you know, that offensive. Like, well, you know, I don't want to bring religion and politics into my pipe smoking. You know, this is meant to be an all for one thing. You know, I had a video about this. This is meant to be a unifying thing, right? We can have differences in philosophy and theology, and I think I pointed out the gentleman who holds the channel, The Piper's Table. You know, he and I, I'm sure, would have some varied theological views. It doesn't mean we can't get along around a pipe and have a reasoned discussion. So this can be the same thing. Having a reasoned discussion about the naming of this tobacco about such a person. And another little side note warning for all of us in the Christian community, Aleister Crowley was raised by Christian parents. I did a sermon several months ago called Fragile Fundamentalism, and how fundamentalism and a really super tight grip can sometimes break those that we're trying to protect and hold and inform. And so we need to have a wider worldview and understand different views and different perspectives and engage with them, not just try to shun ourselves away from them. Because, you know, the results can be, by some people's definition, catastrophic. So there we are. An open and reasoned discussion. Aleister Crowley was a polemic figure. Aleister Crowley was an occultist. Aleister Crowley was very influential in the field of in occultist. I don't even know if you could refer to it as theology. Maybe some manner of historical pneumatology. But in any case, it's kind of a controversial move. And for some people, it may not be a big deal. For certainly, I'm sure the people at Cornell and Diehl, they didn't really necessarily think that it would be a big deal. But for some, it will be. So rather than just drawing out the picket signs and canceling all your Cornell and Diehl orders, instead of having a knee-jerk reaction, let's take a step back, take a deep breath, and say, okay, what does this really mean? What does this really mean to us? And probably more importantly, what can this lead to? If someone chooses to smoke the beast tobacco because specifically the connection to Aleister Crowley, in the same way that I smoke Revelation Match or Three Nuns or Capstan Navy Cut, if they choose that, then perhaps that can open up a discussion with them. Perhaps that can lead to a wider worldview for yourself. So, controversial, perhaps, but a good place to start a conversation, because conversations that start in controversy are seldom boring. Well, that is all I have for this one. So I hope you all have a lovely week. And as always, happy reading.